Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Successful Marketing Summit, where we gathered some of the best and brightest minds today when it comes to marketing. My name is Mats David Awesome Goldberg, and I'm delighted, absolutely delighted to be speaking to Frida Boisen. Frida, she is the host on the TV series Lyxfällan and Trolljägarna. You're passionate about storytelling that touches, whether it's on stage, on television, in books like this, or in chronicles. She loves to inspire in topics such as digitalization, social media, gender equality, and sustainable change. In 2017, Frida was named the Industry Personality of the Year at Stockholm Media Week, as well as the Digital Leader of the Year and the Female Digital Influencer of the Year. She is a world champion on social media and was awarded first prize for best use of social media at the INMA Awards in San Francisco. That's kind of like the equivalent to the Oscar Gala for newspapers, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, and you also been an editor-in-chief for GT, Expressen, Topphälsa, Plaza Kvinna, Allt om resor, vice president and digital marketer at Bonnier Magazines and Brands, and digital strategist at Dagens Industri. And she is a social media expert at Swedish television and a columnist at the newspaper Expressen. And as I showed you recently, she's author of 2 books with the name Digital Succé and Digital Passion. And the magazine Focus has named you one of Sweden's most powerful people. Welcome, Frida, to the summit.
Well, thank you very much for that very vast presentation. Actually, I did change to Aftonbladet now. So now you can find my chronicles in Aftonbladet. Awesome. But you got it all right. It's a long list of things.
but that's how we work today, right? We don't belong to the same generation as our parents, sticking at the same job for ages and ages.
True, and I really love change, tempo, and to learn new things all the time. I mean, I think that's really inspiring to always, be in a movement and learn from new people, and I love that.
Yeah, and I follow you on social media, and I read both of your books. Actually, read one and listened to the other on audiobooks because I'm an audiobook freak myself. And I love all the things where you have a tendency to think outside of the box. When you get questions from people in the audience during your lectures, you always have a different perspective on how to solve a problem and stuff like that. And I like that. It's
you're so kind.
It's honest.
I love to meet people on lectures, because that's when it really happens, when you get to, face every challenge that the person in the audience has. I mean, it could be anything. I mean, once, as I mentioned in one of the books, it was like a politician, and no, it was not a politician, but I've met politicians as well. But it was the mayor of a small community up in the northern parts of Sweden.
Okay.
And I said, like, so how do you reach out, and how do you use social media, or do you send out like a weekly letter to all the inhabitants to tell them what you have been doing for the last week? And she was, no. And I was like, what would happen if you started a live broadcast at Facebook every week and just said, hello, everybody, this is Mimi, the mayor of Hofors. I would love to tell you what we've been doing the last week. We started this preschool, we've started this, whatever, we're building this park, and we need your views on that. We have our park expert with us. Please tell us your questions, and let's have a discussion. And that was such a total success, because she did it. Just 2 days later, she started, and it was a huge success. She actually reached out to more than 1/3 the inhabitants of her small commune, as it's called in Sweden, community.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Wow, that's impressive. That's really impressive. Yeah, I remember the story, and that really made me think, like, I wish more like commune or municipalities would do the same thing. That would be a way to get close to the politics. Yeah.
Exactly, for democracy to build confidence between politicians and regular people. I think that would be a good idea for more politicians, more mayors out there to reach out and have engaged discussion.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But I'm really curious. Could you tell me more about this INMA award?
Oh.
How do you become a world champion in social media? Where does that come from?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, actually, for me, it started out, I was the editor-in-chief for GT, as you mentioned, like the Western edition of Expressen, which is a leading newspaper in Sweden.
Yeah.
And what happened was that the politicians in Gothenburg said, we will not enforce new road taxes in Gothenburg unless we have a public vote about it first. So fine, everybody understood, and the election was being held, and the Socialdemokraterna, the Social Democrats, was re-elected again on that promise. But then they sort of changed their mind, you could say, to put it short, because they had this offer from the Swedish state, and they reached out and said, well, actually, we don't have time to hold like a public vote about this issue. You need to enforce the new road tax laws. And if you do, you will have billions of kronors from the state to enforce new infrastructural projects that they had been longing to do for years. So actually the politicians changed their mind. And when we told about that in the newspaper, the people of Gothenburg were furious. They were absolutely furious. They were like, are you really allowed to change your mind like that? They went to election saying, we will not enforce this new road tax law unless you get to vote about it first. And then they changed their mind. So I told everybody, well, yes, they have the legal right to change their mind. But second, what can you do about it? Well, you can, of course, call your politician that you voted for and say, hey, what happened? And so forth. Then I thought about it a little bit longer. And actually, there was a new law in Sweden that were just a couple of months old. And it was called, how do you translate that? Lagen om det förstärkta folkinitiativet. It was a law that wanted to encourage people to have public votes, to encourage democracy. So I thought, well, what do we stand for? I mean, values are more important than ever, I think, to reach out, in social media and everywhere, actually. And for me and for Bonnier that I worked for then, I mean, freedom of speech is like a super important value for me. So I thought, hey, I think people should have that vote. So I started, what do you call it? What is it called now again? Well, actually, we just started this initiative. Folkomröstningsinitiative. Oh God, all these words. I don't know what they are in English. But so I started that and said, well, let's have a vote. And we actually needed 10% of the Gothenburg inhabitants to sign this
petition.
Initiative. Yeah. Yes, petition. You can call it petition, and that, I mean, there's 500,000 people, inhabitants in Gothenburg, so we needed 50,000 to sign this. You couldn't do it digitally. The law said you had to do it like physically and write, and lick a letter and stamp. Well, how do you even do that nowadays? Everybody forgot. But anyhow. So we started this Facebook page back then. It was a couple of years ago, so groups weren't that big. Probably today I would have started a group instead. But so we started a Facebook page. We started a hashtag at Twitter called VoteGBG. And we just, encourage people to, if you want to, we could have, a vote about this. All that is needed is 10% of the inhabitants to demand that. Basically, to put it in short, what happened was it was a total success for democracy, you could say, in Sweden. It was we actually had almost 100,000 persons that signed in, and the whole discussion, the whole debate was being held at social media. So they were pretty impressed by that in the US and the rest of the world. So I mean, of all the newspapers, there were like Times of India, which is the largest newspaper in the world.
Yeah.
And we had like Facebook and Google and, you know, Bild Zeitung and everything. And like little tiny weeny GT from Gothenburg, a small local paper. And we were awarded this huge prize, best use of social media in the world. So we were, of course, very, very honored and thrilled
Awesome.
to get that award.
That's
In short.
that's amazing. I mean, but that really shows a way of building an awareness through several steps. And from like all the things I've read and heard about you, you're really good at building these strategies to expand an idea or a concept or stuff like that. But what would you say are some bad recommendations when it comes to this building like a social media strategy, or for social media, that's your main domain?
Yes. I love social media. What's the bad advice? Well, I usually don't give those advices. Well, a bad
some
advice
that you heard, perhaps.
A bad advice would probably be to start where you don't feel at home.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you are a person that, for example, it all depends. Are you a big company? Are you a small company? And what you want to achieve with your social media strategy, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, say you are a small company. Maybe you're just one or two persons, and maybe you're not. Maybe you have a writing disorder. That you know, mix up words and everything.
Yeah.
We have one of our most successful potters in Sweden. His name is Alexander Pärleros.
Yeah.
And I was a guest in his show Framgångspodden a couple of episodes back, and I asked him, so how did you come up with this idea? And and he told me about, you know, being interesting in success stories, of course. And he said, I am such a lousy writer. I can't write. I spell wrong all the time. I'm not good with words.
Yeah.
So smart of him not to choose the written path. So I mean, if someone would have told him, you know, you should go on Twitter and, you know, engage people, or you should, you know, write a blog, I mean, that would be bad advice for him. So I think to you know, start from yourself, your passion and who you are. I mean, if you are a brilliant photographer, I mean, it would be stupid not to use that. So, and of course, I mean, you always have to start. What's your aim? What's your goal? Who do you want to reach out to? Who are your customers? I mean, if you're a business to business kind of business, if the strategy would not involve LinkedIn at all, I would probably be surprised, because for many businesses, I would say at least, I think LinkedIn is a very, very interesting place to be right now, if you want to reach out to other businesses.
Awesome. Thank you. And that sort of concluded also what you instead recommended. So that's
I
perfect.
couldn't help it.
I know. But then are there any, like, since you work in so many different fields, are there any special tools or resources that you use for your business to, like, keep track of everything and
to analyze it all? Well, I've used several kind of analytics, from link pulse to, well, you know, loads of various analytic tools. And I think, I mean, yes, you should try them out and compare. If you're new in the game, ask for tryout periods to try out what you like, what you prefer. Well, basically just, you know, to put it in short, the most important thing I would say is to do your analytics. I mean, to do more of what people like and do less of what people don't like. And of course, not only see, I mean, what goes well and what doesn't go well, but of course, ask the question, why did it work? I mean, it's not as easy as saying, you know, video, it's all about video, you have to do more video. No, it's not. It's what kind of video lifts and what does not, and what is it in the story, what is in the storytelling that really makes it work. So be your own hardest criticist and critic, or and of course engage the audience. I love to also ask the audience, what would you like more? Would you like more of this or that? And, I would say overall engagement is key nowadays to get the action going in your social media accounts.
Okay. So I've asked this question to a few other of the speakers as well. Like, if you lost it all, Frida, like your work at the TV, and you didn't have, well, you still have your books, so you can't say anything about that, but you lost it all and you have to start all over again. What would you do if you had 30 days before the tax attorney comes and say, hey, Frida, now you have to leave your house and family and everything. Do you have an idea of what would you take in a month to get back on your feet again? Yeah.
Yeah, no problem.
No problem. Awesome. I like that attitude.
We'll fix it. No problem. Yeah. Well, we all start from scratch. We did way back. Now I would go with, I would focus on 2 channels, basically. If I would continue to do what I do now. Yeah. I mean, you never know. Tomorrow I might have a new exciting business idea, or you never know what. Yeah. But I would go for Instagram. Yeah. And of course have a clear strategy there in the a regular Instagram account and the storytelling bits. Yeah. And I would also do LinkedIn and have a clear strategy there, not only of the posting, but if I would start from zero, a very, very important thing in the beginning, if you're new in LinkedIn, is of course to add many, many contacts that are relevant. You can't, just haul around, and of course make a great presentation and, put it all down there, all that needs to be there, and ask for recommendation and recommend to everybody else. And you have to get up to the plus 500. That's a big thing in LinkedIn to reach the sanitary level of, reaching out.
So you mean it's important to get the 500 plus contacts?
Yep.
For you? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So you have to identify. So, okay, who are my most important customers or clients or future partners or whatever what's important to you to make your business bloom? Yeah. And you have to just write all those key persons down if you're a business to business company, and just, nail them. Ask for invites, ask to become their friends, and start digging where you have a nice and healthy soil to build something on. Yeah. And if you're more of a business to consumer company, or in my case, I mean, I'm kind of both. Of course, always follow your passion, I would say, as well. You have to have your heart in there, what you burn for. And I love Instagram stories because it's so engaging. I know that LinkedIn is looking now to evolve and, of course, get that engagement thing going for them as well. Oh, wow. It needs to be done because that is really, I think, intertelling is kind of a word that I talk about a lot right now, because that's like storytelling in the next generation, I would say. It's not as it was before, that when the speaker, whoever it was, the publicist, whatever, transmitted, and all the others of us, we had handed up a little thumb or a little heart, and that was it. That does not work anymore. Today it's all about the intertelling, what's going on, between you and me, what we're doing right now. You are talking, I'm listening, and we're going like this. Yeah. I love that. So that's the new storytelling that we need to focus on to get that going. And if I would start a new strategy, I would probably think, how do I achieve the brightest and most healthy and relevant intertelling
Mhm.
storytelling.
Okay, so we had a small incident just now. We had a power failure that made us actually reschedule this part of the interview, but as you'll see, we'll be right on into it. So there's nothing to worry about. Okay, welcome back, Frida. We had a small incident, but now we're back in business again.
Yes, we are.
Yeah. So, referring back to what we talked about, how do you see that social media will evolve in the future? What do we see coming next, apart from what you were talking about yesterday?
Mm-hmm. Well, if you look ahead, I mean, probably, I mean, I don't know, but in a couple of years, we will probably see more, I think, playfulness. I mean, to see, if you look at what the kids are doing now, they're enjoying TikTok and things like that. So I think in the younger social media audience, we will see more playfulness, even more playfulness.
Yeah.
And for all of us, well, maybe more tech innovations, maybe holograms in not too far away future. I mean, why not? It would solve a lot of problems regarding loneliness. I mean, we are very, very lonely. Many people are very lonely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's no fun sitting alone at a table eating a beautiful dinner that you prepared. So why not invite over your friend as a hologram? I mean, soon the holograms will be so beautiful that it will be as real as having your best friends there. So.
Yeah.
I mean, we had our problems, with the connection during this interview. But I mean, the technology is evolving all the time. So I think more AR solutions. I mean, a couple of years ago, we had, help me out. Oh God, I forgot. What do you call it? You know what I'm talking about? The Pokemon.
Yeah, exactly.
The
Yeah.
Pokemon Go, yeah. And where we had social media evolving to a new level where I actually outside my window here had 4 Pocket Stops. So my my 7-Eleven dealer, who's right around the corner here, he had like the best days ever, because suddenly it was like a music festival hanging outside my door.
Okay.
It were like hundreds of people here in a square where there is usually no one.
Yeah.
And so I think social media integrating more into our regular world, like making another layer on it in different ways, holograms, or that we can interact when we're out as well. Maybe use, I don't know, face recognition and stuff. So when there is a person coming up in the street, we will have the face recognition pattern. So if I know you, Mats, and we have connected on, I mean, we met each other on Instagram, and I followed your account that I love, but you didn't identify yourself with your face as I see you now. So maybe I wouldn't have known that it was you if we passed each other
exactly
in the street in the beginning. But I would have been, I would have been so glad if my face recognition had popped up and said, "Hey, that's the TIG agency that you love so much. That's Mats." I would say, "God, is that you? Hi, Mats. Good. Love to meet you in live as well." So things like that, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I see there are a lot of gamifications right now with that specific. I know a lot of shoot 'em up games with running around chasing zombies with your camera up in the air and stuff like that, and all the other, as you said, Pokemon Go and stuff like that. So yeah, that would probably be in the near future. I think so too. Awesome to hear you say that. I
and also I have to say I agree with you. I mean, I also think, I mean, all sorts of gamification makes it more fun, of course. So everything that makes it more fun, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So that sort of takes me into, because I see you, okay, this becomes a little bit of flattering, but I see you a little bit as the Swedish version of Gary Vaynerchuk.
Oh, that's kind. We actually met once. Yeah.
Well, I'd say that in the way that both you and him, you have sort of like a view on the future of what's to come and what's to happen, and you elaborate on that, both of you. So with that in mind, do you have any special like tools that you use today for your business when it comes to social media? And do you think that some of those will change in the near future?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm sure they will all change.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting now. I saw that Instagram tried out that in Canada to skip the hearts, not to make them visible for anyone else.
Yeah.
Again, a bit stealing from or getting inspired by Snapchat.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure, I mean, it's changing all the time, of course, but you're thinking what things will change in the near future that will affect my business and how
Yeah.
I will work with that.
Yes.
Well, I mean,
we can start. What do you use today as do you use any extra tools to manage your business, not just Facebook and LinkedIn, but any tools to enhance that experience?
Well, yes. I mean, I do follow, of course, the business versions of Facebook and Instagram and all that, and the premium deal at LinkedIn and everything. And I do like to of course follow the data. I mean, it's hard. I mean, to see what's next, but I would say to always stay curious, whatever happens, and be there and try it and elaborate. I mean, there's always, of course, you have a great advantage if you're first out there to try the new stuff that is coming up. But what exactly that will be and how it will affect us, hard to tell, Mats. Hard to tell.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think there are a lot of different things that will happen in the future when it comes to social media. I see that a lot more people focus their energy to bringing value to other people when it comes to either through video or through audio, like podcasts and stuff like that. And the value can be given in so many ways. So I believe that tools to enhance that and to be able to cross promote in many different channels and what should you say, let's say you make one video and with a single touch you transform that into a blog post, an audio audio file and a video and just stream it out. That would be something that
that's a good idea.
Yeah,
I like that. That's a really good idea. And I'm also all for it when it comes to value, of course, and that's a super trend. Another trend I would say is big influencers and also companies that are cross promoting each other to enhance value for, of course, to be generous. And to be generous, I would say, is also a super trend. I would say the more you give, the more you get, really. I mean, if it comes to value or being generous to other people or accounts, I mean, I think that's what really is the way forward for social media and to make our world better, really.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. So that's great insights on like where we're heading in the future. Do you see like in your past any like failures that you made that actually set you where you are right now?
Oh God, so many failures. I'm an expert at forgetting, the things that weren't that fun and successful. But you are right. One should really celebrate your failures because that's what you learn from.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've done everything from, spell wrong to do everything wrong. And God, but what you really learn is, of course, to always, everything from very basic to read all your posts again. When you make a mistake, apologize, and be there, and continue to have the conversation and the intertelling going. I sometimes I have in panic tried to just delete the post that went wrong in one way or another, and just go hide and forget it never happened. I would say that is a bad idea. I've tried it. I've panicked like everybody else, I think, at one time or another, when you made a mistake and think, well, God, that didn't turn out well. If you are there, I think we will all end up there one time or another. We all make mistakes.
Oh yeah.
So try to take a deep breath and talk about it. And I had another colleague, you would say, I won't give his name, but he posted a post, and I think the criticism was that there were like almost only men in the picture. This was an executive group, and this leader, he always talks about diversity and how important that is, and the women in the picture were like sort of leaning forward, and people started commenting, oh, that's great. Oh, almost all men, and the women are like bending down. That doesn't seem so fresh. And he, in panic, I think deleted that picture, and then he made a new post commenting on, well, that was not at all how it was. It was just the women in the executive group had left the room already, and I'm sorry, I didn't know that it would, that it would be interpreted in this way. And I thought maybe that's one way of doing it. Sometimes, I mean, if you see that a post, it doesn't turn out the way you wanted, I mean, it's not a bad thing maybe sometimes to delete it if people are offended by it or interpret it the wrong way, but at least post another post then and say what happened. But I don't know, what do you think? What's the best way?
Well, I'd say, I mean, when you have that, you always have like trolls, people that just generally don't like you, and they will smother you either way you do it. And depending on what you wrote or what the occasion was, sometimes it's just better to leave it be. Sometimes it's better to say, yeah, I'm sorry, this, as you said, post another post saying, this wasn't my intention of having it this way, I apologize, and so forth. And then just leave it at that. Sometimes it's good to, I haven't really curated my own account very much. Even like people using my account as a platform for their own marketing, sometimes I let them with just a small comment below. Or sometimes I delete them, but usually I use that as a means to show other people that, see, some people don't run the fair game and others do. And there will always be people, if there's a will, there's a way, usually. True. Yeah. Well, true. But going with that, like as yourself, I mean, you're TV hostess for the show Trolljägarna, that like deals with people bullying or actually targeting different people on social media, mostly, I guess, but even outside of the internet. I have this might be like directed to that question, but if you had a magic wand and you had some like flaw or problem within social media disappear, what would that be? I'd say as a first thing, and I have a second step to that one.
Yes, well, maybe it would be just to make the hatred go away. So I know there has been app solutions and everything to transform hateful words into positive words. So every time that you write, well, hateful words, they are transformed into, oh, you look like a, and instead of the F word and everything, it's going to be like a super beautiful, and it's a fun idea, but
That's an awesome new app.
yes, there are apps out like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there is. I think there was an insurance company behind one of those apps.
Oh wow.
Because I mean, bullying and hatred. I mean, it is a huge problem in the world. So that was interesting. And of course, it leads to bad health. So that's why the insurance companies are interested in this. But so that would be one of my wants. And I think there are so many things that the social media platforms can do to work with this. I think Twitter has suffered a lot from not dealing with hatred enough. It's the social media platform that has gone down in the last couple of years dramatically. And I would say, me myself, I think I have 28,000 followers or something on Twitter, and I'm almost not saying anything there now, because I'm so tired of the trolls. And I mean, sometimes it's just hate, and everything you just try to say something. It doesn't matter what someone tries to
manipulate it and twist it. Yeah.
God, and it's still energy draining. I don't have the energy to deal with it. I just.
Do you see that there is something like specific to business as well? Is there anything within like social media and business that you would like to change as well? I saw that more as a general thing.
Okay, here's another wand then. And that wand is to stop selling. I mean, the more selling part. And because that's no good.
No.
It makes social media boring. It doesn't add the value that we were speaking about just a couple minutes ago.
Good.
So if there would be a one just to remind all of us, we are all publicists today, and company, persons, influencers, whatever, that hey, is there a value in this post? Does this give anything to my followers or new people out there that could be my followers? Does this give anything? How can I make this post even more engaging, even more interesting for for people out there? It doesn't even have to be my followers. It could be new followers, new people to interact with, even though their followers are not.
Good. That's that's really good. I think more businesses should see that in actually any aspect, not to sell, but to tell a story,
right?
To bring value to other people, and from that gain the trust and likability of others, and then from there.
I love that. Tell, not sell. That's a good one.
So we're at the end of this first part, Frida. Would you like to tell the audience what you're planning to speak on in the second part?
Well, I would love to evolve what we've been touching on. How do you tell and not sell? How do you make your business bloom in a very engaging way? What are the magic keys to tomorrow's intertelling? How do you work with dark social? That's an interesting question. Because the effect of dark social is huge, and it's a huge part of the sharing economy on social media now. It's actually like 84% of the sharing economy in social media. So if you don't know how dark social works, it's time to figure it out, and I'll tell you all about it in the upcoming session.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Frida. That was very interesting, very fulfilling part. And to all other people out there, all the listeners, I know that you will get tons of value from listening to the second part of Frida's interview and presentation. So in order to be able to listen to that, click on the button on this page and purchase the All Access Pass. You get both this video, Frida's second video, and all the other speakers' videos, both the first and second video, as well as a lot of bonus materials that you can use to bring your marketing up to speed and to a much higher level than you're currently at. So with that, Frida Boisen, thank you so much for being part of the Successful Marketing Summit. Really appreciate having you here.
Yeah, it's been so much fun talking to you, Mats. I love it.
Thank you. See you in the second part.
Yeah, see you soon then. Bye-bye now.